it needs the carburetors taken off and rebuilt, and not all of this plastic has to come off, but one side does. And I'm going to choose this side over here because I've already got the that black piece there with a little glove box. I've already got that off. So first is the seat, the tank, and then you can get a hold of the carbs after that. Since I already got this piece off, I'll show you how to get it off. The inside the little glove box is 1, 2, 3 screws, and then along the side there's one more, and this very last one down here at the bottom. If I get the camera right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Show you something I did while I was had this off. On a place for one of those trickle chargers to plug in right there, and then also USB chargers right there. And I got a little switch there because the wires inside the motorcycle are on all the time. So there. Ta-da. Alright. What I did is when I bought it, I took these two pieces out, laid that down there as a template, drilled the holes, and then marked it, cut a big square out, and put it back in. So looks pretty cool, huh? And the charger's on as soon as it switches on, so that should die out. Okay. Anyhow, that was about $12 on. I guess with Amazon I got it. Let's see. I replaced most of my Phillips head screws with these Allen wrenches, mainly because the guy that sold it to me lost most of them, so I had to replace them with something. This is all they had at the hardware store, but they look pretty cool. So anyhow, alright, so this is off. Just kind of tug on it and it comes off. So we'll store it over here in a safe place. And next is to get the gas tank off, and I think this can stay. If not, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 screws gets this piece off, but I think I can get the carbs out without that. Alright, I assume this is the right place for this to go. It was stuffed way back down, and it looks like a drain or a vent. It goes out back by the rear tire, just in front of the rear tire. So anyhow, get that out of the way, and then got those two screws out, and just lift and then pull back towards the back wheel, and it should come loose from the bike. But then you gotta be careful, tilt it forward so you can get the harnesses for the fuel gauge off, and then the main pipe here for the fuel line. Got to take that off. There's one other line that is the vacuum line that turns the pitcock off and on. It's right up under here. Anyhow, I've only got two hands, so and I don't have a tripod right handy, so I'm gonna have to turn this off and then show you later. Got the tank propped up so you can see where everything goes. There's the main fuel line. I've got it going down to a filter here before it goes on down to the carbs. And then this vacuum line here goes down to, I think it's number 2 carburetor, the front. That switches the pitcock on and off when you start the motor. And let's see, that's about it. So anyhow, I've already got the gas tank fuel gauge disconnected, so just worry about these two lines right here. I should be able to, wait a minute, that shouldn't be full. Alright. People asking questions about where these hoses go. There's so many of them. So anyhow, main fuel line right down the center. And I should put something under here to catch that gas. Anyhow, main fuel line right down the center. There's this pipe here, which goes over between carburetor 3 and 4. It just comes up here. It's a vent. Okay. You know, it comes up and tees up with carburetor 1 and 2. Okay, so this pipe here between carburetor 1 and 2, and then between 3 and 4, comes up to a T, comes up here to a vent. That's all it does. Okay, then there is this vacuum line off of carburetor 4. It tees up with carburetor, let me see, number 1. It goes up here to the exhaust valve up here that switches the smog control back on and off. And then there's one more hose. It's comes off of carburetor 2, the front. That is the vacuum line that goes to the gas tank that turns the pitcock on and off. So anyhow, I see so many times people asking, where's all these damn hoses go? That's where they go. So I'm going to go ahead and take this side panel off so I can get the screwdrivers in here. This is kind of interfering. So I want to just go ahead and take it off. Like I said, it's only 6 screws. I've got all 6 of them out, and I should be able to just push it through, push it off. Okay. Okay, that's much better. Got a lot more room to work, and I can see everything now. And by the way, there's a 7th screw hiding up here underneath the radiator, right there. So it's not 6, it's 7 screws holding that on. Okay, here's the issue. This side here, since this plastic is still on, you can get to this guy pretty easy. I've already got it off because it's readily reachable. That one over there on the carburetor number 3 though is a little bit harder to reach. So if you've got a stubby and small hands, you're going to be able to get that off without taking the shroud off. So it's worth the investment. Just go get you one of these. That took a while, but I got it loose. You can see it there. But next time, when I put this back together, that is going to go, I'm going to flip it over so that I can actually reach the screw from the top side instead of having to get my hand under there. So anyhow, I think I'll do that to carburetors 2 and 3 so that I can get to them from the top rather than having to go up underneath there and cut my hands all up. Okay, all the screws are loose, the clamps are off the boots. So I've got the hoses loose, everything. So now it's time to pull them. And what you got to do is, well, I've retrofitted mine because these old boots, they get hard and they're very stiff. And they're not, actually not as long as they were originally, so they don't fit. So what I've got on here is this self-fusing tape. And so after I get the carbs in and sit down good, then I wrap that around there twice, and that seals it up. But you know, I don't want to have to buy new boots, so that's my solution. It works. But I mean, if you got the money, go ahead and buy some extra boots. Okay. This self-fusing tape, it's not very sticky at all. Look, it's not sticky at all. But it sticks to itself very well if you stretch it first. So anyhow, it's not reusable, I don't think. So I'm going to have to go buy another package of it. It's about $10 for a package, but that's cheaper than the boots. So anyhow, it's very easy to come off once you get one's end started. There. And that's it. You stretch that around there, pull it tight, and wrap it on itself, and it will not come loose, and it's a very good seal. Okay, no matter how strong you are, you're going to need one of these, because those things will not give unless they're warmed up first. So unless you're Tarzan, you need one of these. This takes about 5 minutes. Okay, it came out pretty easy. What I do is when I get the airbox boots softened up, I grab the back of the carburetors and push down real hard, and then pull back and up at the same time, and then push down, and it wiggles its way out. So they're loose now. So the next step is choke cable right here. So that one screw right there, we'll take that out. And then you got to have some really good fine needle nose to reach those. I've got a pair of forceps from the surgery that I use, and they work great. Okay, let's see if I can get enough light in here so you can see. Okay, what I do is I hold the barrel with one hand and loosen that screw with a pair of needle nose, and then spin it up to where it's got a lot of play in it, and that way I don't disturb the bottom nut from the bottom, because that's my reference point. That's where it's got to go back. Otherwise you might get too much tension on it and it won't open and close right. So now that's pretty easy. Now I can get it out of here and disconnect the lower part. I don't know what ethanol in your gas does. It turns green and it turns sludgy. So, last time I did this, it was like this set all summer, and it was a bright green, looked like antifreeze, but it was gasoline, and it nearly destroyed the carbs. Okay, this is what I'm after. Get these guys out of there so I can clean them. But that hole is very small, so I had to make a special screwdriver and just ground the shoulders completely off of it, and just barely fits in there. Anyhow, it goes in, gets them out nicely. Let's get this one out. Yeah. There we go. Just tilt it back. It should fall out. There it is. Okay. Okay, as I suspected, they were all clogged. Couldn't see through them. And that's the E string off of a guitar. And that's about the only thing I can find that's thin enough and hard enough to actually push it through there. You can strip some small fiber or stranded wire and do the same thing, but this is pretty stiff, and you can actually push it through. So that's an E string on the guitar. All right, got the jets cleaned and put back in. I adjusted the floats a little bit to raise them a little bit, because I think before I had set them at 19 millimeters, and I should have set them at 17. So I'm going to try to correct that. So this is my setup. It's a 2x4 in the back, screwdriver holding it at just the right level, so everything's level. And there's the setup. There's a funnel there. So anyhow, I'm not using gasoline because it's so dangerous, so I'm using actually isopropyl alcohol as a liquid. And I need to tie that up so that it doesn't fall down, spill all over the place. Okay, the funnel's been secured now, so it don't spill. Last time I did this, it flipped over on me and drenched me in alcohol, cause this is a swivel joint. So anyhow, we've got this clear aquarium pipe attached to the underside of the bowl as the drain plug, and now to check the level, I have to open up the drain. Yeah. Drain's a little tighter than I thought it was. Okay. Open up the drain. Let some of that alcohol out. Should not go above that gasket, and it does. So I need to lower that a little bit on that one. So I need to get a marker here and say it's really not that bad. A little more. Open it up a little higher. Yeah, it needs to go down about 1/8 of an inch. Okay, so this one, just right here, needs to go down. That's my marker. There it is. This side goes down, and move to the next one. And now for the second one, I make sure it's level. And crack this open. Here it comes. And let's see where it stops. That one I'm going to call perfect. So, right here. Okay. Move on to the third one. Right, number 3. Check the level, make sure it's there. And then crack that drain open and see where it comes up to. There it comes. And that looks perfect to me. So, okay. Okay, and now number 4. Okay, here's the last one. And check that. It's level. And crack it open. Here we go. And stop. Too high. Okay, when it when it gets up that high, you can see where the hell is it now? Where did it come up to? Put a little more in there. Well, I think I need to put some more gas in the. It's hard to tell exactly where it is because it's so clear, but I can see that it is right there, which is, in my opinion, too high. Because if you look straight across from there, that's these 2 jets here. And if it gets much higher than that, depending on how the bike angle is setting, you can see it's right there. It will drain into there and actually drip into the cylinder. So that's your hydrolock problem. So that's probably safe as it is, but if the bike's on an angle, on a hill or something, that might just drip right into the cylinder. So I'm going to lower this one a little bit too. Alright, by measuring the fuel levels, the 2 center ones seem to be perfect. And the one on the outside, which I thought I set exactly the same, was maybe 1/8 of an inch too high, maybe 1/4. So anyhow, I'm going in and checked, and what you can see from this side. So I hate these needle valves have a float on the end, or not a float, but a spring compression sort of cushion, and so you can see that once the needle seats, there's always a little bit of play, even though the needle is seated. What you got to look for is back here is when the needle actually quits moving. You see, it stopped moving there. I measured that, then that's exactly 17 millimeters. Now over here on this one, I measured the same thing, and it is actually about 16. So anyhow, you can't just go by when it makes contact with the float tang. You actually have to look and see when the needle quits traveling. I don't know if you can actually see it. Let me get that out of the way. Now it won't focus now. See if I can get a good view of it from over here. You see it, there's a lot of travel, and then finally the needle stops. On this one, it is 16 millimeters. On this one, it is 17. So I got to change this. It's probably the same problem down here on this one. You got to look when the needle actually quits moving. That's when it's seated, not when it hits the spring. Before I put these two back, or this thing back in the motorcycle, I want to show where all these tubes go. This being carburetor number 1 and 4. So 1 and 4 are teed together, and this goes forward to the exhaust gas return valve. I guess that's what we want to call it. Okay. On the top here, between 1 and 4, is another T, and this goes back towards the back wheel, and it just vents. There's nothing there. That goes nowhere except for there's a little clip on the frame that holds this down. That's a drain, and that's your fuel line. And then usually on number 2, it doesn't matter which one, but number 2 or 3 goes towards the gas tank to the pitcock that turns the pitcock on and off, so there's no gas draining in while the engine's not running. So anyhow, and then this one is capped. So anyhow, I've seen a lot of questions online, where do these hoses go? That's where they go. This goes to the exhaust gas. This is a vent, fuel, and the pitcock. Now for hooking up the cables, I found that it's easier to go ahead and thread the 2 cables in through the middle here, but leave the carbs about halfway out so that you can actually have room to work down in here to get the cables connected to the carburetor linkage. And this is invaluable. This is some forceps I got from a surgeon, and they're very strong, and they can reach very far without getting your fingers in there. So if you can snag a pair of these, I think you can get them on Amazon. They are great. Let's see. That is the gas level sensor that goes inside the gas tank. 4 screws holds it on. It falls right off. Don't try to pry it off. Just take all 4 screws out, and it practically falls out by itself. My gas gauge wasn't working. I tried the gauge itself, where it connects to the gas tank. I put a 200 ohm resistor in there and actually saw it register. a little bit. So I know the gauge and the wiring and the bike is working right. So I thought it was this. So I measured across the terminals here, and it read open, nothing. So anyhow, I guess that was what it was. So I pulled it out, and what I found was, I don't know if you can see close enough or not. There's that wiper that wipes across that resistor. You can see it here. Okay. That wiper is connected to ground through this little nut. There's a spring under there. The spring is what makes the connection to ground. Okay, what had happened to this is it got corroded. All inside of here was all kind of whitish powder, and so the spring wasn't making connection to ground. So little alcohol, little WD-40, an X-Acto knife, scraped at it, and now it's working pretty good. I can actually, that resistor that's on there is 100 ohms. So if you set the, yeah, come on. There, okay. So anyhow, as you move it, it'll go from 100 ohms down to about 6 at one end. That's full, and then empty is down around 100 ohms. So now it's working. So here we are, all back together. Carbs in, tanks on, seats on, and got my little power distribution here, USB charger, power switch. So anyhow, those two wires up here by the handlebars, black and yellow is ground, white is positive. They're hot all the time, so you need a switch for this kind of stuff. So anyhow, let's go show you how it sounds here.